So after Sunday's tornadoes, a lot of you are asking me, how often do we get tornadoes in Colorado, and how often are they as strong as the ones that we saw back on Sunday were? So let's give you a little bit of an overview about Colorado tornadoes. First of all, we average about 45 to 50 tornadoes statewide in Colorado each year. That might not sound like a lot, but that's actually a fair amount. That puts us up there in the top 20 nationwide in terms of the most tornadoes. Now, granted, almost all of them take place east of the Continental Divide. The Eastern Plains, that's where we have access to Gulf moisture, and that's why we can get more of those tornadoes on the Eastern Plains. And really, the further east you go, the more likely or the more tornado prone you are here across the state of Colorado. It's as simple as that. The further east you go, the more tornado prone you are. Though I know a lot of you will comment that Weld County, and that is accurate, Weld County is the single most tornado prone county in the United States. There's some kind of finagling around that. Number one, Weld County is also huge. It's massive, so it's worth noting that. And number two, it's really the eastern fringe of Weld County that gets the majority of those tornadoes on the Pawnee National Grasslands. All right, other thing, and this you've heard a lot of from me. The kind of tornado we get here in Colorado is almost always what we call a landspout tornado. What is a landspout? That is the question I get all the time this time of year. It's about 89% of our tornadoes here in Colorado, 80 to 90% of those 45 to 50 a year are forming from the ground up. So a landspout is a tornado that forms from the ground up. It's usually by colliding wind boundaries that get stretched out by a developing thunderstorm. So think about it this way. You have wind coming from this way, wind coming from this way. They meet somewhere. We get a lot of these colliding winds because of our topography here in Colorado, and then that air gets kind of stretched out as that storm first develops, and that takes that colliding wind, that rotating wind boundary, and it creates that tornado. That's essentially what you're looking at right behind me. I'm trying to figure this out. That is what you're looking at here. That is a classic landspout tornado, very, very common for Colorado, and that's the kind of tornado we typically get. Supercell tornadoes, like the one we saw in Bennett back on Sunday, May the 18th, far less common. They only account for about 10, maybe 15% of our tornadoes each year here in the state of Colorado. So hopefully it gives you a good idea about Colorado tornadoes. Final thing I'll leave you with, which I think a lot of people freak out about tornadoes. This is really important to note. We have not had a single tornado fatality in Colorado since 2008. That was the Windsor tornado. We've only had 5 tornado fatalities in the state of Colorado since 1950. So I don't mean that to mitigate tornadoes or to like put them down or anything like that. But people freak out a lot about tornadoes, and sometimes I think it's a little unwarranted. And just if you know to get into that lowest floor away from any windows, you'll be all right in a Colorado tornado.